Get caught in a net with Annette. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with Annette. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with Annette.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your host, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Guys, welcome. Listen, I am going to stop this right now because I see your messages. You would think I haven't done this producing before. Listen, I had my video playing, guys. This is Annette, and I am so sorry that you were not seeing that. Thank you for your messages and letting me know. That's why I got great supporters out there. But we are on live. We are on live now. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and click the share button. This is the first segment of the year. And it is actually, I'm excited because we have been blessed to begin a new year. We are here live with you guys, and I am excited because we're actually starting off with a new segment this year, our educational spotlight, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God to be able to do this. But look, you know what I have to do before I get started? Let me acknowledge the Lord in prayer. Lord, we thank you for all things. We thank you for who you are and how you are. We ask that you would bless us and help us in every way, oh God. All that we go to say and do on today, we pray that it will be a blessing to others. In the name of Jesus, we pray. And we're grateful to you for allowing us to see a new year. In Jesus' name we pray. And the opening scripture that I normally like to quote is the first part of Hosea 4:6. And it states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And I am excited to be here. As I stated already, I have a wonderful guest with me here in the virtual studio on today, the virtual studio. I am welcoming to Mind, Body, and Soul, welcoming her to come on and get caught in the net. This is Dr. Viola Wiley is in the house with us on today. And before I go further with telling you who she is, I want to encourage each of you to come on into this live feed on my page, GetCaughtInANet. And then what you would do, I always ask you to please click that share button at the bottom. You can all say it with me, it costs you nothing when you click that share button. And I would appreciate it. So, get it out, get the word out. You've seen the promos, and individuals have been waiting on this particular segment to come, and we're here. Also, on my YouTube channel, Get Caught in the Net Incorporated, you should hear us live there. At the end of this segment, we will upload the video portion of this segment on today. And I'm also on my Instagram page, and I see you guys coming on in Instagram, GetCaughtInANet. And I'm going to wave at a few of you guys, but I thank you so much. Wanting to acknowledge, I see you, Brandy, Elise, Michelle, Casey is on, Victoria Jones DeBose, I appreciate it. Karen is another educator. She says, much love, sharing and sending. Much love. Back off to work I go. She's an educator, so she has to go back and teach the kids. They're back in school today, so I appreciate that. But Dr. Viola, how are you doing on today?
I am so excited. Like I said, I'm like a kid at Disney World for the first time. I am excited and thrilled to be here to share with your listening audience today.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us and taking time out on today. You know what? When I was talking to Dr. Wiley, when we had our audiovisual check, I told her, I said, God does things and he does them well, because she and I have been trying to connect since last year. It was before last year, at least since last year. And I said, you know what? Timing is everything. God knows. He knows when it should happen, what should happen, how it should happen. And as I'm scheduling guests, sometimes we try and make connection here, connection there, and it doesn't work. But the timing for this is, I believe it's a godsend. We're looking now, and I believe today is the first day that the children are back in school from the holiday. And there was so much, turmoil going on there, so much infighting, if you will, or what have you. So I was explaining, and many of you all have already seen, that I believe the Lord gave me for this year, the theme 2022 is the year of healing. So we're going to be looking at healing. Healing can come in all different ways. Yes. And so today we're focusing on educational healing. This is what we need. This is what needs to happen. And I just know that you all are going to benefit tremendously from this segment on today. So Dr. Viola, I'm going to ask you, she says she has a setup that she likes to do before she gets started. So I'm going to let you do that now, and then we can go into our interview for today.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. I have an educational prayer, and I like to start it off, everything done decent and in order. Let us pray. Dear God, the creator of the universe, I ask that you distribute blessings to every child in the school systems across the globe. Let them know that, yes, it's time for a new thing. I ask that you speak life, prosperity, protection, and forgiveness, followed by love, into the heart and soul of every child, every parent, every family, every educator, every school, every community, every university across the globe. Let us move forward, equipped for a journey of excelling beyond our wildest imaginations, keeping our eyes on the prize for a better today and a much brighter tomorrow. Amen. I want to start by saying, get ready for your yes. Start every day declaring positive affirmations over yourself and your child. Yes, we can make it. Yes, my child will be successful. Yes, we are ready to move on up higher. Get your mind set for yes. a new elevation in education. It's here. Believe that. It's time for access to the power of moving forward all the way to the front seat, a positive shift in education. A few years ago, Michelle Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, launched a campaign to get people up and moving. I'm catching on to that very campaign now and saying, let's keep it moving forward in 2022. Yes, this is the year to move up higher. And I digress. The last 7 years have been the warmest on record for the earth, according to a report this week on CNN. You know what? Things change after the number 7. Get ready for a shift in education, a shift in motivation, a shift in dedication, a shift in elevation for the next 7 years. Yes, we are the movers and the shakers. Be silent no longer. Let's move. It has been said that when you know better, do better. Well, audience, after today, you will know better. Demand accountability. Discuss rationales. Ask those tough questions that Dr. King would ask, John Lewis would ask, Rosa Parks would ask, and John F. Kennedy asks. Ask for a change. Don't just ask why. Go on and ask why not. And when you don't get the answer you need, ask again. Search again. Ask someone else. Keep asking until you see education, motivation, compassion, determination, dedication, and elevation for your child. Yes, we can move forward. I would like to take this moment to acknowledge a few people. My family in Mississippi, Tennessee, Illinois, Indiana, Nevada, California, Georgia, Texas, New York, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I would like to further acknowledge the Distinguished Authors Network of Executives, Dr. Natasha Evans, Millie Anderson, Audrey M. Burgess, Dr. Mary Patton, Dr. Frankie Swope, Marilyn Burks, Orlando Caesar, and Dr. Don Parker. Internationally, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Raphael James of Nigeria, a researcher, publisher, motivator, humanitarian, director of Research Center there in Lagos, Nigeria. He has donated over 53,000 books to the children of Nigeria and says you can never go wrong with books. He himself has authored 59 manuscripts and books. Also would like to recognize the longest serving Secretary of State in Illinois history, Mr. Jesse White, the first African-American. Secretary Jesse White has daily motivated me and inspired me and over 18,000 young people he has mentored during his more than 60 years after founding the Jesse White Tumblers and the Jesse White Foundation that gives back to underprivileged children and families across the state of Illinois. My daily inspiration. Further like to recognize some unsung civil rights heroes from Mississippi. The late Mrs. Leola Green Blackman, Reverend J.J. Russell and Mrs. Irma Russell, Mrs. Lucille Streeter, and Mr. Percy Applewhite. Further acknowledging my church family, Abounding Life in Illinois. And from Hartgrove Hospital and Executive, Mr. Jackie Glass, he's a community supporter. From Linwood, Illinois, Mayor Jada Curry. And from Chicago State University, Dr. Richard Dogger and Dr. Atanes Gahangu. Librarians from Mississippi Valley State University, Mrs. Henderson. From Alcorn State University, Mr. Strawberry. From Jackson State University, Mrs. White. Mrs. Jennifer Givens from the communities. And all the students, parents, families, teachers, and educators I have worked with across the years. Get ready for your yes. And at the end of this segment, I will leave you with 5 simple steps for activation of elevation. But first, let us repeat an affirmation of positivity from this book, Motivational Poetry, Healing the Soul. I am healthy. I am intelligent. I will keep a sound mind. I will live a long, satisfied life. I have perfect vision. No illness will attack my body. My best days are straight ahead. I will become everything I was created to be. I will walk in my purpose. And now back to our wonderful host, Mrs. Harris.
All right, all right. That's a interesting setup. She has everything laid out for us. Listen, I want to encourage each of you that are watching on today, if you have any questions or comments regarding this discussion on today, again, we're talking about educational healing. And Dr. Wiley is a known educator, and she has a lot of individuals that she's helped, a lot of individuals that she's taught. She's a former teacher herself as well. And so she has a lot of information that she wants to impart to us on today. And I know many of you that are watching, you're either parents or educators yourself or students. And so please make sure that you tag in individuals on today. And then also, like I stated, please throw in any questions or comments that you may have for our guest on today. I am going to ask you this question because we have, and I just like to sometimes set, the groundwork from what we're going to be talking about on today. So education itself, you have so many that say education is so important. And then you have others, nah, it's not that important, or what have you. You always have your differing opinions, regarding such. But, we can probably list all day long pros and cons of it, if you will. But why don't you talk to us, answer this question for me, and tell us what is the true importance of education?
Oh, wow. Excellent question. The true importance of education. Education is the fence that separates poverty from prosperity. That is in a nutshell. So if students want to be successful in life, they will go toward education. If they choose not to be successful, then that's not receiving an education. And when I say education, I mean a quality education. I was looking at some research from Illinois. It says from a recent study at Harvard University, Illinois has only a 6% chance, a student born in Illinois in poverty has only a 6% chance of earning $100,000 by the time he's 40 years old if he does not receive a college education. So the most he would earn would be under $100,000 if he does not receive a college education. So poverty and prosperity, that is the key with education.
Okay. All right. I like that. Thank you for that response. I was looking actually prior to this segment, my producer, I'm sorry, shout out to my producer, Earl Winfrey, Intellectual Radio, for helping us out on today. And he is the owner of Intellectual Radio. There is, on Facebook, we do have certain groups that our radio shows go into. And I was looking at one of the shows, and Earl, you may have to help me out if you're listening. I don't know the name of it, but I believe it was just last night. They were talking about, oh goodness, our children, being exploited. And what's the main thing? Why is the name of this escaping me right now? When our children are being exploited and they're being taken away from their homes, sometimes they're out in the streets, and then people come and take advantage of them. And the brain truth. Thank you, Earl. You're listening. The brain truth. They had a segment on last night, and I thought that it was quite interesting because I was trying to relate it to what we were discussing on today and how important it is to make sure we pour into our children. Because if we don't pour the correct things into them, then they'll be out there just doing it in everything, or they will, someone else will come and try and pour some into them that's not right, or the negative stuff or the bad stuff.
Mhm.
And if we pour the right things into them, that's why I believe education is so important. We have to make sure that we're pouring the correct things into our children. And it's so, children are very important to me. They really are. We don't have any ourselves. I never had any children, but children are very important to me. And what we are telling them, what we are explaining to them, what we are putting into them, and that makes a huge difference in whether or not they will take heed to the evil or they will take heed to the good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that's important. Thank you for answering that initial question for me. And I'm sure many of you educators that are on here probably can agree, or you can even give your own definition, those of you that are on here. Let's see here. I did see you come in, Beatrice. Thank you so much for watching and joining us on today. Also, I believe that is that Pastor Hayes over here? Thank you for coming in, and Maya, and all of you that are coming. I'm going to join in and get your thoughts and comments as they come in and recognize you as well. So you've been in education for how long?
35 years in the classroom as a teacher, 42 years in education.
So 42 in education, 35 years in the classroom.
Yes.
So you obviously retired, correct?
I retired in 2018 from the classroom, but returned after 1 month of retirement because of the need. So I went right back to teaching after I retired in 2018, 2019, and I retired again in 2021.
Okay. Well, you had a double retirement. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I get it.
Yes.
And that's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it was still, education is still at your heart for you to go back into it. You know what I mean? So tell me this, 35 years of teaching, my God, that's a long time. Yeah. What was I? Maybe like, I don't want to tell my age. Anyway, you guys know how old I am anyway.
Come on with it.
But while you were teaching, obviously over the years, things changed.
Yes.
And tell me from when you first started teaching, when it was 35, when you first started teaching, to when you retired, tell me maybe just a couple of things that you saw that changed in education that was either a good thing or not a good thing.
Okay. Oh, that's a big question and a great question. When I started teaching, and that was in 1980, 79, 80, was in Mississippi. And I started, my first assignment was working with, I had finished at Mississippi Valley State University with an elementary education major, but my first set of students were 11th and 12th graders, but they were students who were behind in reading. And that's when my focus shifted to reading and literacy. So I had to immediately come up with strategies and materials on my own that would work for these juniors and seniors in high school to get them caught up to where they needed to be. So I did what every good teacher does, just sought out resources. And I ended up, that was when they were reading Jet magazine. I knew the boys would go to the centerfold and look at that picture in there, but they ended up reading. So I brought magazines from home, Ebony magazine. I got newspapers. I took a class at Mississippi State University on newspaper and education, and that was very beneficial. So I used the newspaper and magazines to get those students caught up to reading, because I learned early on that if you keep doing a thing and you do it long enough, you'll become good at whatever that thing is. So if you're tap dancing and you continue to tap dance every day, you're going to get better at it. So I knew that if they kept reading magazines and newspaper and kept reading articles, even though it might have been about Aretha Franklin or Michael Jackson or whoever they were reading about in Ebony during that time, they were reading and coming up with important details. They had to share those details with the class, not realizing that they were learning to read at the same time. I can just take any book and teach a child to read. It really doesn't, it's no particular book. It's just knowing the strategies that will make it work in the classroom. That has happened throughout the years. I have attended so many workshops, I would say in the hundreds. And from those workshops over the 35 years, I've learned a lot of great strategies that I was able to apply immediately. So I like strategies that you get results for the kids. If I can't see purpose in what I'm doing, I can't be effective. I got to see relevance. And I'm reminded in Mississippi, in the Holmes County school system, where I was teaching fifth graders. And the superintendent was walking the hall with a group of people, stakeholders, walking the hallway, and he saw my fifth graders writing outside of my door, posted on the bulletin board. And he called me from the classroom to say, who wrote these papers? I say, my students, my fifth graders. He said, your fifth graders wrote these papers? I said, yes. He said, you know what? I need you to in-service the entire school district. And that's what he pulled me out of the classroom to do, to teach the entire school district how to effectively teach writing. He said that 11th and 12th graders were not writing at that level. So at that point, I was, I knew I was on to something, and what I was doing was effective. The students appreciate, the parents appreciate it. And now the administrators was seeing my work and appreciating it.
Yes.
But a whole lot has changed. You asked me what has changed over the 35 years. Kids still want to be successful. Children want to be successful in school. If they're not successful, they'll go someplace where they are successful. It may be a negative environment, but they're going to be successful there if you don't let them be successful in the classroom. So my thing for 35 years, I've had 35 successful years in education. So with that being said, I made sure that my students were successful in the classroom. So that's why I have so many students reaching out to me on social media and saying, thank you for what you did for me. And they are doctors, they are lawyers, they have all kinds of big jobs, running big companies and everything. But those are students, they span all the way across the United States and internationally, because I always wanted to teach a child as if they were mine. So I guess that's why I got that title, The Teacher's Teacher, because I wanted to teach all children as if they were mine. So when they went home, they had something to go home with, to share with mom, dad, aunt, grandma, whoever they live with, to go home and share with the parents.
Love it. Love it. So I heard out of that you basically used your resources especially when you talked about the magazines. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to meet people where they are. Mm-hmm. And obviously you use that wisdom, to get them to read, so you figure, okay, they will probably read these magazines before they actually read a textbook. Yes. Or something like that. But you were still getting to accomplish what you wanted to, which was to get them to read and to, help them with their reading and enhance it. I love that. I love that concept. Let's see here. I was thinking, I could not think of the topic title of that show that I was referencing from that aired on Intellectual Radio last night. They were talking about human trafficking. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but I was mentioning that again because you just said it in just a few seconds ago. They're going to expend their energy in something. So if we don't instruct our children, whether it's our own or someone else's children, as educators, then they're going to go and somebody's going to find them, somebody that's watching to see who they can human traffic. They're watching them, they're trying to get them out. So I believe if you instill in them, the right things, educational wise, then if somebody comes and approach them with that, you probably, I'm sure you would have taught them how they can get out of that situation or to say no to it. You know what I mean? And that's not to say, please don't get me wrong, everybody. Don't misunderstand me in thinking that those who have been human trafficked or a victim of sexual human trafficking were not educated. Please don't get me wrong, because there are some intelligent people out there. Unfortunately, sometimes they get tricked. But I'm just saying, I believe the education would take it, a long way. And I believe it would definitely help them. I see you, Linda Jean, cousin. I think thank you for watching on today. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys click that share button. Is this Mernestine, Renette? We appreciate you. Renita Dorsey, is on, and thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for coming on. Yeah, go ahead and throw, I don't know if I mentioned you, Elise, but thank you for coming in. Go ahead and throw your comments, questions for Dr. Wiley as we're talking on today, because we want you to engage in this with us as well. She's going to leave us with a whole lot, that we can learn from ourselves. There may be something on today that you didn't know. Each day we need to look at each day as a day to be able to learn something. I firmly believe that. And I know Dr. Wiley, with all this experience that she has under her belt, can instruct the educators, parents, students, all of us. Okay. All right. So let's see here. I am looking at a couple of things. Dr. Wiley has written a number of books, guys. She had some for me, and I just didn't get a chance to actually pick them up. But Dr. Wiley, how many books have you written thus far?
About 103 manuscripts, and of those, 99 are already published.
99 are already published. So then your books are, of course, they revolve around education. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me why you felt, oh, wait, okay, I'm sorry. I need to throw this in here. You started writing these books when?
March of 2020.
The 103, I believe you said, manuscripts?
Yes, 103 manuscripts.
And you started that in March of 2020?
2020.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear this? All these books this woman of God has written, and we obviously know that there had to have been a need for it. Now, tell us why you started in March of 2020 writing.
I was trapped in the classroom. The pandemic hit March of 2020. I was mentoring teachers, and I'm like, oh my God, I still got to mentor teachers, but from home. So then I had to. A whole new mindset emerged. I had to train myself, all these different virtual platforms, how to reach the teachers and be most effective in helping the teachers reach the students. So I had so much knowledge in my head, but I had to take all of this knowledge out now and put it inside of books. So that's exactly what I did. That's how these 99 books emerged from the pandemic of 2020.
Wow. A lot of things were birthed out of the pandemic.
Yes.
Literal children were birthed out of the pandemic.
Yes. A lot of children were birthed out of the pandemic.
And we can actually call your books children as well.
Yeah. Yes.
And you felt the need to do this. And I must say that I am amazed. Somebody put on here, wow, that's amazing, when they found out how many that you've written thus far. I would definitely say it's amazing. And I thank you for taking the time to write what you felt was obviously a need.
It's
so
a need.
Let's maybe kind of start with maybe some of the books that maybe we can start with some of the first books that you started writing in March of 2020. Do you remember which one it was?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. This one was actually written, the first one, but it was published in 2020. But this is the first one, Quality Teaching. And if you Google Quality Teaching books now, you will see it's one of the top books in the United States. Quality Teaching, give them a chance, believe they can achieve. Beating the odds for at-risk students. This is the first book. This book, during the pandemic, March of 2020, I started writing this one. Moving forward, eyes wide open. This is the top book in the United States now for pandemic teaching. If you Google pandemic teaching books on your cell phones, on your computers right now, you'll see this book. This is #1 in the United States and 14 other countries. So this is the book for the pandemic.
All right, can we stop with that one right now? I want to ask you a few questions about that one. That sounds like the best book, because here we have, and we've said this a number of times on my show, and you've heard it everywhere. When the pandemic started, and also when the isolation started, and we had to, stay in our homes and not come out, everybody was like, oh my God, really, what's happening here, and not really knowing exactly what to do. So then, of course, the children had to stop going to school. The teachers could not educate or do their work any longer because we could not be around each other. So that particular book right there, my God, sounds like heaven.
Yeah, it is still number one.
So, it's teaching beyond the pandemic 2020. So were you trying to help equip our educators or trying to get them to adjust to the new normal that we had been relegated to?
All of that is addressed in this book, but really the educators as well as the parents and families and all the stakeholders in education, all of that is addressed in this book. In fact, inside of this book are models for reopening school safely during a pandemic. There are 4 different models for people to look at. I think that's why it has remained number one in the United States. And the questions on the back, it says, how do schools reopen safely during a pandemic? And how can they make informed decisions that will allow students to begin learning at or surpassing pre-pandemic levels? So these type of questions are addressed in this book. And just some of the chapters in this book, it talks about the new normal, looking back to move forward. It required a mindset shift. And one thing that's in this book is looking back to start over, looking back at the one-room schoolhouses. Looking back at the one-room schoolhouses and how they made it work. So when the pandemic hit, to let teachers know you can make it work. Look back at where we've come from in order to move ahead into the future. So this book touches on a lot of important mindsets for progressing. And it also lets the parent know that many times churches were the one-room schoolhouses. The churches were. And they use those churches as places of learning. So learning by any means necessary, that's what's addressed in this book, as well as the building relationships with teachers and families, building relationships. The pandemic required us to build more relationships. We were had to stay home for first, I think it was 15 days in Illinois, and then it went to 30 days and those type of things where then everybody was in the house together, and you had to really build relationships in the home as well as with connecting with the schools. Another chapter in this book was that's addressed, I think, how can we move beyond the pandemic? So that's in here, how to move into this new normalcy and be productive. And another book I've written during the Christmas holidays, Thriving during the pandemic, Safe at School, Thriving during the pandemic. That's another book though. But yeah, it talks about, the hand washing and the social distancing and wearing the mask and truly wearing the mask, not just covering up the mouth and then the nose is exposed. So it talks about wearing the mask safely, safe at school, and thriving during the pandemic. Like I say, that's a new book. I wrote 7 books over the Christmas holiday.
That is phenomenal. My God.
Yeah.
And I can't say this enough. Needed. It's needed. Because, everybody's mind was everywhere and you didn't really know how to gather yourself and get back to this is what I normally do. You pull me out of what I normally do. So how do I get back to it? And so your books are encouraging educators, encouraging parents, encouraging students as well. I see some comments on here. Michelle says, this is great. Most parents have no idea how to proceed when remote learning began. While we are back in person, the principles are still applicable. And she also says that she's ordering now. Thank you. As a matter of fact, let's take a little station break and say where they can find your books. I believe are they all on Amazon?
Yes, they're all on Amazon. In fact, all of them are on Amazon. You can go to amazon.com/author/V as in Victor, G as in girl, Wiley, VG Wiley, and you will find all 99 books right there on one page on Amazon.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I need to when I get a chance, guys, I'm going to actually see if I can copy the link and put it into the live feed and also on YouTube and Instagram, so you guys can make sure that you are ordering correctly, because this is some information I'm telling you that you
it's at Walmart,
definitely
everywhere. Walmart as well. You can order Walmart.
Oh, it's at Walmart as well. Okay.
Walmart.com. You go to Walmart.com and you'll see the books as well.
Okay. All right. All right. I see you, Carolyn Smith from Abounding Live. I see you joining in. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Make sure you click that share button. If you're just now joining us, we're talking with Dr. Viola Wiley, and she is the educator's educator. She is she is one of the best that you can come in contact with. She's written over 103 manuscripts, 99 books have been published. And she is one that wants to help. She wants to help to facilitate educational healing, which is what we're talking about on today. All right. So let's see here. Okay. I'm moving along here, making sure that I am not missing any comments or questions on today that you guys may have. But this is a very, very great topic on today. Let's see, you actually have Next Level Teaching Beyond Pandemic. That's that book that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. So you want to talk a little bit about the future of schools? That's what's outlined in this book. And can I throw this in here as well? Maybe you can also address the fact of how, we know here in Chicago, and I believe it's kind of around, that our Chicago public schools were having a hard time. And I talked about this at the beginning, and I think the students actually went back on today, but there was like a standoff, if you will, after the holidays, and the educators were concerned, parents were concerned. And it was just so much that was going on, and people didn't know exactly which way to go. And I believe it all started because before the students went on break, they gave them all the tests to take home with them so that they can take the test before the COVID test, before they come back to school, and wanted to make sure that everyone was, safe and can come back without having COVID. Well, I guess a lot of the tests were not valid. And so there was a big uproar. So the teachers, they didn't want to go back, because they're like, it's not safe and everything. So I'm paraphrasing everything that happened, because you in Chicago know what transpired. So there was a standoff with the mayor. So with Chicago Public Schools, Chicago Teachers Union. And, they finally, like I said, decided to go back on today, but there was so much turmoil and uproar. I even saw educators even on social media. They were saying, you know what? They didn't appreciate how people would classify them as being lazy. They said, we're not being lazy. We're just trying to be cautious, and we want everybody to be safe. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like the other side was hearing them. So, with that in mind, maybe you could talk a little bit about that situation, and then also talk about how you view schools going forward now.
Yes, I was looking at the models in this book, and one of model 4 say total remote learning. When do you have that? And that is when it said this model should be implemented whenever there is uncertainty and doubt about the health and safety of students and staff. And I think that's what CPS was experiencing based on what I saw and heard. That was uncertainty about the health and safety of the students and staff. And that's when you should go to, my opinion, this is my opinion, total remote learning. And that's what happened over the past few days. It said if students and staff fear for their health and safety, very little teaching and learning is going to occur in the building. In a nutshell, that's it.
Wow. See, I mean, you have it all right there. The Lord has blessed you to address all of this already.
In this book, and this is August of 2020 when this book was published, and it has remained at the top ever since then because of the common sense principles that are within this book.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. And oh wow. So,
Going forward.
oh, right, going forward, go ahead.
Going forward, we must grow from what we know. And that's what the entire country has to do. There are some things about education that are good and were good even back in the day. I know it seems like a long time ago, maybe even when the dinosaurs, but it was me. I was in school and we were taking home economics and learning how to sew and learning how to cook. And the boys were learning how to build things, taking shop and learning how to build things and how to do welding and things like that. So all those things were good. The United States need to grow from what we know. Okay, we still based on an agrarian society where school gets out during the months that are not hot and very cold for farming, so that students can go and work in the fields. That's why the students get out. That's why the United States is set up like it is. You get out in July and August, and because you go to work and on the farms. That's the system that the United States is still set up on after all these years. We need to look at everything, read, and if it doesn't make sense, I got a book called Change the Blueprint. If it doesn't make sense, change the blueprint. If it doesn't make sense, create quality schools for all, but change the blueprint. Whatever doesn't make sense, don't keep doing it just because it's comfortable. A lot of things that are going on in the schools are comfortable. Ms. Harris, you can call schools right now. Since this is the first year in 42 years that I haven't been in a school working, I have been trying to contact schools so they can get some of these books into their curriculum, but you can't get anybody. Everybody's in a meeting. They're meeting so they can meet. They're meeting and meeting and meeting and meeting. Everything is happening the same. You have 85% of the kids can't read, but they're still meeting and meeting and meeting and meeting. They're using the same materials they used last year and the year before because it's on a list based on whatever nation's choice list, and nothing is happening because it's mixed matched. That means the level of the material doesn't go with the level of the child. And that's a whole nother arena. That's when you're talking about Lexile scores. And I can break that down for you if you want me to. But we got a lot of mixed match in the schools. And my books were not just written because I'm an author. I wrote books that contain academic vocabulary words that the students need to know in order to be successful and compete in a global economy. So I have my preschool through third grade books contain the Dolch words. There are 220 Dolch words for students in preschool through third grade they need to know. These are words that cannot be taught with pictures, but they are words that students must know. We have this book, Run, Cat, Run. Great for preschoolers. Inside of the book, you have big words, but you got words that the students need to know. These are words that they just need to know the words. And so a lot of times when the students are reading the books, they're not knowing they are reading words that they need to master. They are just reading and having fun reading. And a lot of times when they see the book and they see someone of color in the book, especially our African-American Latino kids, they want to see children of color in the books. So that's what you have in a lot of my books. So if you are getting the book, you're going to see books that kids can relate to, but at the same time, they're containing words that the students need to master based on their grade level. Grandma did it. Mastering sight words from preschool through third grade inside of this book. So you got children of color in the book, and you got books that contain words that they need to know in order to be successful and compete on at any level, on a global level, but especially with Illinois. You got the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. They get ready to give that test, I believe, in April of 2022, March and April. So the students need to have mastered a set of Common Core skills prior to taking that test. And wow. I can talk about Common Core. That's what I definitely want to talk about.
Wow, this is really good. This is good. I have a couple of comments here. Well, there's one question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any books on homeschooling?
I have an entire, yes. They just need to contact me. I have a whole set of books on. I have so many books that I was getting so many phone calls, Ms. Harris, until I had to publish a book that says, Arthur, what book will help my child? There's a book out there I published that is entitled, Arthur, which book will help my child? So that book, it lines all the books up by grade level. So if a parent has a preschooler, they'll see the books there that they need. First grade, second grade, all the way up to 12th grade.
Wow. I'm just sitting here in amazement right now. This is great. There was a comment, and I agree with Brandy here. Let me read this full comment. She said, it seems like you need to literally go up and show the text in your books to the right person for them to understand how much the students need them to be included in the curriculum. But you have gone with your books up to schools, or can you tell us about some of those experiences?
You try to go to a school, and we already have a curriculum. I'm looking at their test scores, and they're telling me they already have a curriculum, and I'm knowing that they need what I have, but I can't break through these school boards or whoever is making these decisions. They have a curriculum. It's not working. Let me go to Mississippi. I called there about 6 weeks ago to the State Department of Education. I said, I have books that are written during the pandemic that are targeting deficits in reading. How can I get these books into the state? Because that's a textbook adoption state. That means you can't go to the school. You must go through the State Department. And there are 20 states that have that. So of the 50 states, 20 states have that. You have to go directly to the State Department. And if your book is not on their list, your books can't go into the school system. Well, Mississippi say they just adopted books for their students, and they will not look at their students' books until 5 years from now. So if their material they have is not working, they are not going to revisit it for 5 years. So just imagine your child being first grade. That child has to go through this material that's not working for 5 years, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and now the child is 6th grade, and then the state comes back and look at the material. That's in the state of Mississippi. There are other states like that too.
Wow. Okay. All right, guys, you need to get onto Amazon. Please make sure you get to Amazon, because she has so many great books for you. This is so informative. Michelle says, this is so true. I'm on the school board in my community, and it's disheartening that this is happening. She also says, but administrators are in classrooms subbing and driving buses due to teacher shortages.
Mm-hmm. It's going to get.
Now that I didn't know. I knew there were shortages. I don't know who I thought was helping them out, but I didn't realize it was administrators. This is amazing. I'm telling you, they just need to open up their ears right now, and not just because I know you, but it just seems so simple. And
it's simple.
You just kind of like laid everything out. And then what was the last thing you said? You have a book that says, which book do I need to?
Which book will help my child? I don't have a copy of it. I gave it away at a Park Forest School District, had a trunk and treat, and I gave away over $1,000 worth of books there to parents and families in October. So that was my last copy, but I need to order another one from Amazon. Which book will help my child? That's the title of the book. Amazing.
All right, I want to ask you this, and we know that home is important. Our upbringing in the home is very important.
I got to
talk about our parents and their role, and how it is important for our parents to get our students to the next level.
Oh, excellent question. I'm so glad you asked that. Chapter 10 in this book. This is the book right here. Chapter 10. I don't know if you can read can you see that on the screen?
Aligning the home for virtual academic excellence.
There you go. How can you do that? This might seem old-fashioned to many people, but take a look at this. Do you have one in your home? These are the kinds of tools you need in the home. Talk about where's Africa. Go to some of the countries there in Africa. Find the students have no clue. And when you have these kinds of tools in the home, it might seem old-fashioned, but it's a valuable tool to have. And you can just imagine the lessons that parents can just write down 5 locations on here for that week and say, okay, I need you to show me where is Sudan? Where is Sudan? Where is Nigeria? Where is Canada? Where is South America? And let the child go and show, oh, it's right there. And where is it in relationship to North America? Is it South? Is it East? Is it West? So just using the globe, you'll be surprised how much learning could go on right there in your home with these kinds of tools. Let me share this, Ms. Harris, if I may. A study was done in Australia that covered over 50 countries, including the United States. Of 160,000 participants in this study. They asked these people who were in the ages of 40 to 60, they asked them, when you were 16 years old, how many books were in your home? Everyone who answered 115 or more scored high on an assessment they gave them in math, reading, and technology. Every single person out of those 50 countries, every single person who had 115 or more books in their home scored high in math, reading, and technology. What does that say to us? We need books in our homes. You can imagine for Christmas what was just bought in some of the homes. Some of them, there were no books bought for Christmas. The first gift that every child should have opened for Christmas should have been a book. The first gift. And then the child would know reading is important to my parents. Reading is important to my grandparents. Reading is important to my auntie. So if you make books an integral part of your home setup, establish a place in the home where you locate books. And they know, okay, if I go to the shelf, if you may not have a library, but you can purchase just a little Amazon has so many little bookshelves. You can just order from Amazon and start making a library right there in your home for your child. When your child see books are important to you, you're going to catch your child reading. You're going to catch your child reading. I was talking to an educator and a parent in the south suburbs, and she said when she was a child, if she couldn't go to the library, she cried. How many children right now would cry if you keep them from going to the library? That's the mindset we should be seeking to establish in 2022, where your children will cry to go to the library to read books.
Wow.
Because
Not crying because you're making them go, but crying because they couldn't go.
They couldn't go. Readers are leaders. Readers are leaders.
Yeah, I love that. I used to love to read books when I was little. So I totally get what you're saying. And I do agree in terms of what we purchase them, especially with gifts, Christmas gifts. We definitely need to have books in there. When you mentioned about Christmas gifts, you know, the first thing I thought about? The young man that did the shooting. Where was that at? You guys help me out. And his father had just purchased the gun on Black Friday. You guys know who I'm talking about? This just happened, you know, at the end of the holiday season. That was a gift, a gun. That's what the parents purchased. Now, you know, they have both the parents are behind bars as well.
Behind bars.
You know, so, you know, make you think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I actually pinned the Amazon, so you guys can make sure, even while you're on here now listening to us, if you want to go and purchase any of these books that Dr. Wiley has pinned, there's a link there in the on the Facebook page. I will also try to hop over and do it on YouTube and here on Instagram as well. But Viola Wiley, and there are, and don't think that you've gotten the wrong person, because you will see some that says Viola Grays-Wiley. So it is the same person. Okay. So let me make sure. Yeah, there are some books, or is it all of your books? All of your books have Grays in it?
All the books have Grays in it.
Okay.
All of them.
So Viola Grays-Wiley, she hyphenates her name. Okay.
Yes.
So That is who you're looking for when you go to Amazon. And again, I have placed the link there. So let me go in here, and I see there are some more comments here I want to get to.
Okay.
I see you, and more educators are hopping in here. I appreciate you guys. Elder Kevin McGee is on. Thank you so much. Apostle Miles, I see you. Blessings to you as well. Michelle has another question for you. She says, does Ms. Viola conduct workshops for parents?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. All right. And we just have to make sure that we have this connection, because Michelle, she's hopping all the way on this today. She says she would love to connect with you.
I love to conduct workshops.
She actually has a business herself that she's opened up, but she says she want to connect with you for her foster care family center. That's what she has.
Excellent.
Yeah, wonderful. And she says your wealth of experience and knowledge in education is invaluable. I totally agree, Michelle. I totally agree.
Thank you.
Let's see. Was that in Kenosha, Michelle? Is that the individual I was talking about? The young man that did the shooting, and then his parents are the ones that purchased the gun. That was in Kenosha?
I thought it was Kenosha, Wisconsin, but
okay, that's what she put in. Okay, thank you. I didn't remember where it was. Apostle Miles says here, when I was in school, the library was in the school. Yeah, right, exactly. But that don't mean that the students went to the library like they should have. But yeah, I remember ours being in the school as well.
Yes.
Yes. Nicole Burton, thank you. I appreciate you for coming in. You said it wasn't Michelle? That wasn't Kenosha? Okay, well, you guys know who I'm talking about. I can't even call his name right now. But it was you know, kind of gory, and you know, something that was really horrible. But it was really extremely horrible when we found out the parent purchased the gun.
As a gift.
Yeah, as a gift. So let's see here. I am so amazed at all this that you're doing here. But you have children books.
Yes.
So most of them
80.
Okay, 80. But they're focused on, what is this, Dolch sight words? Now you have to help me out with that, because I don't know what that means.
They're focused on Dolch sight words, and Dolch are the words, 220 words that all students need to know before they leave third grade. And, you know, because it is said, according to research, if a child can't read by the end of third grade, they're going to be behind the rest of their lives. So that's why I started with my focus on getting a preschool through third grade material together. So yeah, the Dolch words are in here, and there are a certain set of words for preschoolers. There are words for first grade, kindergarten, and like a preschool, the word THE, TOAND, AIU. Those are just some of the Dolch words that for preschoolers. That's your 4-year-old students.
Okay, all right. So those are called Dolch words. Okay.
Dolch words. There are 220 of them. But I really want to get to the academic vocabulary words, and that's for first grade through college. First grade through college. Okay, so when I talk about that, that brings me to Common Core state standards. As I said before, we need to get some things that we know that are good for the children of the state of Illinois and the United States, and stick with those things. There are some things about Common Core that are good. There are a lot of pros and cons when you talk about Common Core, but for the most part, the rationale behind it was to get all of our children, no matter what state they live in, at the same level of achievement. So if you're second grade in Illinois, you should be able to complete the second grade work in Georgia, in Minnesota, in Washington. So Common Core was meant to remove the inequities in education. That was the mindset behind it. So a lot of states are abandoning Common Core, and some of them are for political reasons. And I don't want to even touch that can of worms with politics, because it takes too much away from our children. I'm about the children and the families, and in the classroom, and the teachers, because the teachers are the change agents in the classroom. Nothing's going to happen positive until you support the teachers. And that's for everyone. Put your force and your support behind the teachers. that teachers are the ones where the rubber meets the road, as General Motors would say it. It's the teaching. It's in the classroom. That's where the rubber meets the road. You need to support and listen. Many times you got school districts that do not listen to teachers at all. They treat teachers as if they're just really babysitters. They don't want to hear their voices at all. But school districts across the country need to listen to the change agents in the classroom. And I'll always be an advocate for quality teaching.
I love that. And as you were talking, you've seen different things on Facebook social media when the pandemic hit and we were home, and then parents had to they were forced into homeschooling basically at that point. And you mentioned about respecting teachers and respecting what they do, and they're not babysitters. A lot of parents found out that they need to respect the teachers and what they do and what they're up against every day in teaching their children and other children. I've even seen, some parents like apologizing, like, I am so sorry that my child was like this or whatever, because they didn't, act sometimes a different way when they're at school as opposed to when they're at home. But I see a comment on here says, I have a high respect for teachers. I do too. I really do as well. I have a number of educators in my family alone, but I'm appreciative of what they give out. Nicole also says here's the proper resources are critical, and she says she homeschool. Oh, you homeschool? Okay, I didn't know that. And she's very heavy on vocabulary. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Let's see here. There is another question that actually just came through. Okay. And the question says, why are so many public schools not doing our kids justice so far as the teaching is concerned?
That's a great question. Many times the teachers would like to teach, but there are so many mandates. We need this form. We need you to get this data in. We need you to do this and do this and do this. And even if you know something that works, you're not allowed to use it. I have received extensive training as to what works in the classroom. So I definitely can move students and schools forward. I am certainly a person who can move any school forward if you want to be moved forward. But I have to say, if you want to be, because I get so many, Ms. Harris, I get so many, we're busy and we'll call you back. And that's it. You don't hear anything else from them. That's it. I would love to move the state of Illinois to the front. We can be a blue ribbon state with top schools in the country if we wanted to be. Let me tell you, what is missing, Common Core is great in many ways. But what was missing, there was a missing piece in the state of Illinois. I was in the classroom. The missing piece was academic vocabulary. So if your child is third grade, your child needs this book. And I'm not saying should have it, needs this book. Your child needs this book if your child is third grade. If your child is fourth grade, your child needs the one that says fourth grade right here. And they are all on Amazon, all the way up to college. These are academic vocabulary words. They are different from regular words. Let me tell you what academic vocabulary words are. They are the words that are interdisciplinary. That means it's a word that will apply in reading. It will apply in writing. It will apply in math. It will apply in science. It will apply in social studies. It will apply in art. It will apply in technology. It will apply in music. Let me give you an example of one. Process. The word process. So if I taught that my child, especially during this pandemic, if children just learn one academic word a day, Ms. Harris, we would be a blue ribbon state. If they learn one academic word a day, just one academic, let me give you the word process. Process in reading, there's the reading process. where you look at the background knowledge of the words that's in the story before you introduce the story. You talk about the words that make the difficult words that may be difficult for the students. You talk about those words before the story. And then you get some background knowledge to see how much the students know about that topic before you go to that story. Then if it's a younger grades, preschool through third grade, you take what we call a picture walk through the book. You look at the pictures and make predictions what you think is going to happen in this story. And then you read the story, stopping constantly to ask questions that probe comprehension. So that's the strategy for getting students to read at grade level. But when you look at what's going on now in many of the schools, they don't allow the teachers to do what works. They don't allow these people who are sitting in state offices making decisions about what go on inside of classrooms. And some schools turn it over to the local districts where you have the school boards. Well, you got school board members that never walked the hall of a school. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. How can you make decisions for that school district? You sit in an office all day. Walk the hall. Okay, if you see that their projector is broken, smart board projector is broken, you went across the hall, another one was broken. You went down another hall, another one was broken. You're a school board member. You ought to know firsthand what's going on in the school, not sitting up at a meeting. You need to be in the building. I'm sorry. I know I'm stepping on somebody's toe. You need to be in the building to know what's going on, making decisions about schools.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you had actually mentioned something earlier about, knowing, basically what's happening around them. So I would agree that the administration needs to know what, if you see, like you mentioned, all those, this out and this out, there's a problem. It should be a red flag.
Right there.
But the only way for them to know that, like you said, is to get in the schools so that they would, be able to see this firsthand. And not just to be meeting on top of meeting because we want to meet, what have you. But
the whole United States is meeting. They are meeting, and they're meeting to meet so they can meet again.
Right. They're agreeing with you on here. They say you sure telling the truth. Let's see. I am looking. There was another question. Oh, let me read this comment first. I have 4 nieces who are teachers. This is from Carolyn Smith. And wish they could hear this, but I know they are in class. I will suggest the play. Oh, yes, please do. If you guys know of any educators or parents or whoever else you think that would be would benefit from this segment, please, you can go ahead. You can tag them in here. They can always look at it. Once the segment is over, you can always come back to this recorded segment and watch it later in its entirety. So that would be my suggestion to you. Just go ahead and tag them into it. That way they can look at it later. Apostle Seawood, I see you on. Thank you so much. Jennifer Gibbons says, I am enjoying Dr. Wiley's enthusiasm and passion. I am too, girl. We need her to continue to intercede and raise awareness of these issues. And I totally agree with you because you hear it in her voice, the passion, and that's what's needed a lot of times. And sometimes that's what's going to grab the attention of others, when she's passionate like this. Now she's saying, yeah, I wrote these books. Yeah. And the schools, yeah. The students need to change. Yeah. Yeah. And just like that, we're not even going to listen to her, but her enthusiasm is drawing us in here. It's drawing us in. And what are you showing us there?
Character education. This is one I wrote over the Christmas holiday. Character education. It talks about 5 character traits that every child needs in order to be successful in school. And let me tell you, it takes you back old school. Guess what the first one is? Respect. You think kids don't need respect? Okay. It's respect, honesty, integrity, friendliness, and punctuality. These 5 character traits will get you into college. They will keep you on the job once you're hired after college. These 5 character traits. Every child, every school needs to put this book into the hands of the children And there are scenarios inside of each character trait where they write and read about how to be respectful. It talks about Aretha Franklin and the song Respect, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. That's mentioned in this book. So it talks about respect. You got children presenting the character trait, a diverse group of students presenting the character traits to the, presenting the character traits to the students. So get your hands on these books. And you know what? Tell your school to call me. Tell your school to call me. If insist that they call. If they say no, keep asking. Ask again. We need her. We need her books in the school. Complain until they start listening to you. I got a test prep book for people that's coming up with the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. A 3rd grade through 5th grade test prep. There's a student edition and a parent edition with the answer key in it. It's online at Amazon. It's okay. 3rd grade through 5th grade test prep. That's the name of it.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is good stuff. Now, you know, guys, how we normally, if we are looking for a particular product in the store, when we go to the grocery store, whatever, they don't have it, we'll go and say, are you going to have this in again? So we'll ask about that. So just like she mentioned, you know, tell your school, just keep insisting, you know, about the books that she has written that will definitely help them. Another question on the floor for you, Dr. Wiley, would you say that racism is part of the problem with public schools?
That's based on localities. Some locations it is. Definitely some southern states, I know it's a part of the problem. You have some locations in Mississippi I'm aware of who just got internet access in, I think, October of 2021. So all since the pandemic has hit, those students did not have internet access. They had to leave their homes. And some school district, they parked buses at the top of the hill. And when the bus moved to the bottom of the hill, the students at the top of the hill lost connection. That's also addressed in one of these books. It's called No More Virtual Learning This Week. This girl named Sharitha, she knew she was an honor roll student, but she knew if the power was out or once the pandemic hit, she knew she wouldn't be able to log on because she would not have internet access. And those gravel roads, like in Mississippi, students still travel 1.5 hours to school, 1.5 hours back home because of gravel roads. And that's 2022. That's today. So wow. There are inequities in education, and I write about that in most of my books. I put it in my the intro or whatever on the back cover about the inequities in education across this nation. Yes, there is racism is alive and well, and I do try to be as diverse as I can with my books, like this book, Run Cat Run. There we go. That's in English. This is the same book in Spanish.
Beautiful.
Okay, English and Spanish.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me hop over here to Facebook and see if there's any more questions. Instagram, if you have any questions or comments, I see you guys are watching. Thank you so much. Brother Sledge, I see you came in, and Roki, whatever. Thank you for coming in. I love these little names here. Okay, Jennifer, I already read your comment. Thank you for coming in. Buddy Gill has joined us, and we appreciate you as well. Anyone else on here that I did not get to? I am trying to. Okay, if we want a set of books from you, what books should we purchase regardless of grade level? Oh, Jennifer, you must have just come in because she actually, but if you can answer that one again, because she did answer that earlier.
What books per grade level? Definitely every child needs an academic vocabulary book for their grade level. And for the 12th grade, it's called College Prep Vocabulary. Let's see if I got it. This is the top vocabulary, but this is for your senior 12th graders, but academic vocabulary books for every grade level. So if you are, whatever grade your child is in, get the academic vocabulary book for your child. And what this book does, I would like to do a workshop with your school so that you can teach that one word a day effectively and explicitly. I would show schools how to teach that one word effectively for the students. And the college prep is if you Google college prep vocabulary books, this is #1 in the United States. You can just Google college prep vocabulary books and you'll see this book pop up. This book right here. That is the #1 book in the country.
Yeah, I got somebody on my show today. She's somebody. Look. I mean, she is not playing. Do you understand me? She is not playing. Let's see a comment here. God speaks to his teachers. He tells them specifically how to teach his children. It's sad that teachers are silenced by school admins. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that comment, Nicole. Okay, that's fine, Jennifer. Hopefully she answered your question. And those of you whose questions that I've asked for you, let us know if she's answered them for you or if you want to ask another question. And then those of you who have not asked anything or made a comment, you are more than welcome to do so. You can direct your questions to Dr. Wiley here. I will read them for you and have her respond to them while we are still on the air on today. If you're just now joining us, we're talking with Dr. Viola Wiley, and we are discussing today educational healing, which is so important. And this topic came because the Lord had given me that 2022 is the year of healing. So on this first segment, we are focusing on education. We're definitely focusing on education, and it's so needed. And, we can look around in our nation and our world now and see how we need healing definitely in our educational system. For the teachers, for the students, for our parents, for all that are the administrators. We don't want to leave them out because they definitely need healing as well.
Yes.
And let's see here. I'm trying to make sure I'm scrolling up, guys, to make sure that I am not missing anything else here that I want Dr. Wiley to hear. Okay. All right. So, guys, she showed you some of her books. I've placed the link also on here for that you can go to Amazon, and there will be a slew of books. Okay. Again, she's written about 103 manuscripts, 99 are published. And another book she's showing us here, Will the Monster Find My Pumpkin? What in the world? What's that about?
The students in the South suburb, a teacher put it on social media that the students they want to fight over this book to read, but the other books in the classroom, they don't want to read the books. But inside of this book are all the kindergarten sight words are inside of this book. And see, they don't know that they're getting all of the learning that they need, but they're looking at the title. But I try to come up with titles that are catchy and that students love. Like I say, this one right here, whenever I go someplace, whether I'm at Jewel or anywhere, they want that one. Who ate my McDonald's Happy Meal? These kind of titles jump out at the students, and they love these kinds of titles, and that's what we want the students to do is to
stank out. Is that what
they
said?
Yeah, this was written during the Christmas holiday, and they love these kinds of books, not realizing they are getting the sight words and the academic vocabulary words at the same time. And another one is this one, really a good one.
The Pandemic Cat.
Yes. See the academic vocabulary, grades 2 through 4. So it's about this cat that was staying home, but when the pandemic hit, the owner of the cat had to stay home. The cat was sick of the owner. The cat wanted to be home alone, so the cat had full control of the house. So the cat, had an attitude with the owner. So when the owner wants to watch Steve Harvey, the cat put on Tom and Jerry. She touched the remote control and changed the channel. So it's a very great book. The kids love it, The Pandemic Cat, but what they're getting is academic vocabulary words at the same time.
I love the concept. I love it. And see, the titles alone, I know the Lord had given them to you, are very, they're eye-catching. They're conversations, that's probably why, you mentioned about the school in the suburbs, that's the only book that they wanted to read. But they probably just looked at the title and like, what is that about? And it was very intriguing to them. Yeah. But you are accomplishing what you mentioned, getting those core words into them, and the Dolch words and all of that. You're accomplishing that with these interesting titles. So, Healing a Nation Through conversation. Interesting.
Yeah, and this is for the upper grade students, high schoolers, where they write about things. And they got prompts in here. Here's one of them. It says, let me give you an example. You got, reason why, 25 reasons students want to scream. So here's one of them. One of them says, I want to scream because I saw the George Floyd video. And they get a chance to get this stuff outside of their body so they don't have to internalize it and come up with all of these anger issues where they need more therapy and more help. So it's about writing out. One says, I want to scream because I feel more empty inside each day. Reasons to scream. I want to scream because I feel that there is no COVID-19. And students have these ideas in their heads because I got them from students, from people across the country, even relatives, of children who have thoughts in their head during this pandemic. But let them write it out. So this is called Healing a Nation Through Conversation. So a teacher doesn't have to look for topics. The topics are in the book.
Amazing. Okay, so can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yes, anything.
So when you sat down and started this writing, I mean, is the Lord just?
Yes, the Lord just gave me titles to write, that writing to fill the void and to fill the need in communities and in schools and in families. He just gives me thoughts. And sometimes I get out of the bed, I move my computer to my bedroom. That was a bad idea, but I moved it to my bedroom because I had to get up at night and write this down. I'm going to start typing this right now. He's giving me all these wonderful thoughts. And I just start writing, and I just keep writing and writing. And right now, like I say, 103 manuscripts. So yeah, the Lord gives me these titles.
But you know what that shows me? We already talked about your passion and your love and your concern, but it shows us, and if people ever doubt it, God loves us. Yeah. He wants what's best for us. And he sees that we're involved in this pandemic. He knows what's happening, but he will send individuals such as yourself to help us to maneuver and to get through it. And there's so many that have so many different talents and, what have you, that the Lord, has given them to help us to get through. I'm so glad that you mentioned about even a portion in there that talks about the kids sometimes maybe want to scream, maybe because they saw the George Floyd video, or they are not even, or COVID is just too much for them and they don't know exactly how to handle it. Wear your mask. Okay, I see you. Do you guys see? And as we're talking, she's just, showing us the different books that she's written. So I would definitely encourage you guys to make sure you go to Amazon. I have pinned at the bottom of the Facebook Live the link, and for you all to make sure that you can go. There's so many books you can purchase. Look, Grandma, I can read. See, I love this. I see you, Zori, cousin Zori. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Buddy Gill says, so I hate that I have tuned in so late, but I'm seeing so far, what I'm seeing so far seems to be a push to help students learn where they are. All students, no person learns the same. We have to get them where they are. Thank you for that comment, Buddy. And when you get a chance, Buddy, maybe you can tag your wife so that she can look at his wife as an educator as well. And I'm so excited. All these educators have hopped on today. Here's another book. Goodness, what does that say? Substitute plans. Okay.
A design for a preschool day, for an entire day in substitute. So you got a substitute teacher for your preschoolers. All they need to do is open the book. Everything is in the book. The whole thing is in the book. It tells them where to go on YouTube, YouTube, what video to watch, and everything. The whole day is in the book.
I love this. You are a godsend, Dr. Wiley. We appreciate, I know those of you that are watching and listening can agree with me that we appreciate the energy and what you have done to help us all. My I Am Strong survival notebook. Okay.
So I love it. Every day they are journaling, and it has in there, this morning I woke up feeling alive because and then you tell why you feel alive, and then I will eat it. You ask, what will you eat that day? It goes on through the book. So there's a journal for surviving the pandemic.
Yeah.
180 days. That's for an entire school year. 180 days.
Oh, okay. All right. And then you know what, guys? Journaling is very important. It's very
therapeutic. Very therapeutic.
Yes, very therapeutic. I actually, for me to get my feelings out, I have to write. I have to just sit down, take my time and write it out. So journaling is very important. Okay, there's another one. First 10 days of school, pandemic teaching. All right. Jennifer says here, and don't just leave the books in your cart. That's right, Jennifer. It's the Amazon trap. Complete the purchase. I love it, Jennifer. I agree with you. Dr. Well, I have a few more questions for you.
Okay.
Let's see here. I know we have addressed a lot of these questions that we had on paper for her today. But can we go back to the homeschooling and what advice you would give for those families who are homeschooling, and those who had to start homeschooling and those who have been doing it already?
You know what? That's a great question. Here's one book that's an excellent assistant for you in teaching reading, because once they learn to read, reading is first. No matter what we say, what initiative you hear across the country, reading will always be first. And once you teach the child to read well, they will learn the other skills, because now we notice that math is mostly reading. Math is mostly reading. You got reading problem, word problems, very few numbers, a whole lot of reading a passage. If you park your car in the garage downtown Chicago and it's $2.15 for the first hour and $1.50 every hour after the first. So if Jack parked his car down there for 7 hours, how much does he have to pay the attendant when he wants to remove his car from the garage? Those kinds of questions. So, and which is built from Common Core and the Illinois Learning Standards. So reading is number one. So get the books in your home, make reading a priority in your home, whether you're homeschooling or traditionally schooling or doing some brand of blended, virtual or hybrid learning. You have books in your home and your child catches you reading. Don't just wear the t-shirt. Don't just wear the t-shirt. Don't just wear the t-shirt. It's good to have the t-shirt and getting in necessary trouble, but it's also very key to have the book where you're reading the book. This book right here, Walking with the Wind. I'm reading this one now about the civil rights movement. Have the books in the home and do what we call a family read. I suggest families have, there are 4 quarters in a year: January, February, March, first quarter. Have a family read. What book your family is going to read. Have your own copy. Let everybody have their own copy of the book and talk about it. Sit down with the book in hand and discuss. Have family reads. So 4 quarters during this year, we read 4 books. We read Michelle Obama, Becoming. We read The Miseducation of the Negro. Different books. Just get different books in the home and have family reads and let your children know that reading is important to you. And next Christmas, you missed this one, but next Christmas, open up a book. Let your child open a book. First gift from under the tree. You can do it Christmas Eve. Open that book gift. Okay. Let the book be priority in the home. And remember, 115 books or more, everybody scored high in reading, math, and technology.
Love it. They are loving this. They said it's a nice idea. They're enjoying this. Reading and comprehension. I feel like I'm back in the classroom, says Buddy. But that's good stuff. You know what? I'm looking again, addressing a lot of the educators that have come on. Mm-hmm. But you published a book, You Can Be a Great Teacher Today. Mm-hmm. You have that one. So my question to you is, what was your intention behind writing this book, the concepts in this book, and who is it for?
This is for your beginning teachers as well as your teachers who are beginning to get burnt out from teaching. So strategies and effective proven strategies that work you want to work smarter in 2022, not harder. You want to work smarter. And my mentor, Dr. Ogden Lensley, taught me, he's the father of precision teaching. He taught me that if you ever want to know if your students are learning, ask them. Ask them. They are the indicators of effective teaching. The students in front of your face will always be your best indicators of effective and quality teaching. The students in front of you. This book is about guidance for college prep programs, building confidence for new teachers, proven strategies that work immediately, the 4 domains for effective teaching. The first one is you tell a student what you want them to learn and why. Don't just, you have no reason to teach a skill. You can't give a reason why they need it in life. Don't teach it. Tell them what you want them to learn and why. Number 2, the second domain is to let them practice the new skill that you're teaching them. All right. Number 3, you want to go back and see if they have any questions about that domain. All right. You inform. You teach it, you let them practice. That's the third one, practice. And the last one, you assess. Always some type of form. It doesn't have to be a test that you take on pencil and paper. It could be one quick question, or it could be one Kahoot question. The website Kahoot, where you go in and you put something in there and they jump on there and they respond that way. Or Pear Deck. Pear Deck is a Google add-on that you can use to get quick responses from students, but you want feedback. You want immediate feedback. It doesn't have to be anything long and extensive, just some type of evidence that what you are teaching is effective, and make sure it's engaging and fun for the students. Let learning be fun, because if it's fun, they're going to want to come back to school the next day. And you want every child to go home experiencing success every single day. And I have my students in the morning time, they come in, I got to work on the board and it's something quick and fun for them to do. But when they leave, it's just as important. I'm asking questions like, okay, what is the capital of Tennessee? Oh, you said Memphis. Okay, line up, get your coat, get your book bag, ready to go. Okay, what's the capital state of Illinois? Springfield. Okay, there you go. Get your coat, book bag, line up. And they love that. Have something engaging from the time they get there in the morning until they leave to go home.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Oh, this is amazing. You almost make me want to go and be an educator in the school system.
Come on. We need more. We need more. Advocating for education.
Right. This is beautiful. Listen, guys, I don't know if you're just not joining us or not, but again, we're talking about educational healing with Dr. Viola Wiley. This woman of God, again, she's written 103 manuscripts. 99 of them have been published, and she is a powerful educator of excellence. She was voted, one of Illinois' powerful educators of excellence in the South Suburban newspaper in May of 2021. Now, I wanted to hop in I wanted to give you that little accolade there, but then hop and ask you about that time that you were voted as one of the top educators. So how did that make you feel? Tell us about this.
Wow. It was one of those wow moments. I'm like, what? I've been selected as what? I'm like, oh, wow. You work all your life at your career or at your job. And sometimes you might get a pat on the back here or there. But when you are on the front page of a newspaper as Illinois' most powerful educator of excellence, it was a big accolade. It really, really blew me away. And I'll be forever grateful to the newspaper and the organization who voted me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I can say from listening to you, my goodness, you deserved it. You deserved it. And I don't know if somebody submitted your name or whatever. I don't know how it came about.
I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that blew me away, but I was too happy along with this one.
Okay, 21st century teacher mentoring.
Yes, this one got me the title of the second best mentoring book in the world. So this is on CNN. So if you type in my name and put in CNN, you will see this book along with a lot of these books. You'll see the Next Level Teaching, etc. You'll see at least probably 20 or 30 of my books there on CNN because of this book. And this was voted by Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, who's head of Amazon, Sheryl Sandberg, Reese Witherspoon, we call him The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and the Sharks from Shark Tank. And there are 250 thought leaders across the world, the book experts in the world. There are 250 of them, and they voted that I would be number 2 in the world for mentoring teachers. And this is for 2022.
Wow, that's congratulations to you. I must say that this is tremendous. This is tremendous, and it's nothing short of an honor. And I see you guys here. Someone says, "Wow, that's huge." Yeah, it is. It is huge, and that's amazing. I am so encouraged. I am encouraged. I have been trying to tag other educators as well so that they will be able to go back and listen. Again, we know a lot of them are in school right now and they're teaching. So we understand that. First 10 days of school, pandemic teaching. Yeah. Did you go over that one yet?
No, I did not. I showed it on camera, but I didn't go over it. But this is really critical for new teachers, those first 10 days. And it shows you in this book how, based on my expertise, it shows you how to be successful. Set up your guidelines for success those first 10 days. Don't miss that window of opportunity to grab a hold of your students, to get them to establish a rapport with the families of your students, to get to know every child, every family during those first 10 days, and build a relationship with your students the first 10 days of school, because you don't know what's going to happen during any school year. These days, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So definitely build a relationship with your students during the first 10 days of school. And this book shows you what to do on day 1, what to do on day 2. Day 3 is detailed in this book based on my experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. And
so
would you
get it? I need to do workshop with teachers.
Yeah, so you've done that already with teachers, the workshop?
I did one a couple last year, but this year, no, none. I'm available, but none. I'm totally available.
Okay. You guys hear that? Because I know some of my viewers have asked about you doing workshops with parents earlier, but she says she's available, guys. So if that's something that you are interested in checking, talking with Dr. Wiley about, you can definitely reach out to her. Dr. Wiley, where can they find you before we go further?
Okay.
How can they reach out to you?
Phone number. I'm gonna give you my phone number, my email, and my URL. How about that? Okay,
why don't we type? I can type that in, but you can go ahead and say it.
Okay, phone number 773-217-3214. 773-217-3214. Email viola.wiley34@gmail.com. viola.wiley34@gmail.com. And my URL on Amazon is amazon.com. That's my author's page, /author/V as in Victor, G as in girl, Wiley. Amazon.com/author/VG Wiley.
I think that is the one that I pinned on. No, I just pinned the Amazon link. So yeah, you guys, hopefully you got that, her phone number, email, and her Amazon link. That link that she just gave you will take you directly to all of her books, all lined up in a row, and you would definitely won't miss anything with that particular link. So let's see here. Oh my goodness, there's just so much that I can go. What are you showing us now?
This is the new Super Teacher, hybrid plus remote for schools, families, and colleges and universities. And it is based on where we are in our world right now. And it talks about the taxonomy, know, grow, and show. So it's talking about what do students already know, because like one of your callers called in and say, students learn at different levels. What do they already know? Because whatever they already know, you want them to grow from that. You want to build from that. And after they grow, then you want them to show you that they've grown. So it's know, grow, and show. That's a taxonomy of learning. That's Viola Wiley's taxonomy for learning. Know, grow, and show. And that's detailed in this book.
Know, grow, and show. I
Mhm.
love it. Love it. All right. That's good stuff. So you've worked with the Illinois State Board of Education.
Yes, I have.
Okay. What capacity, and also how did that strengthen you as an educator?
I worked with ISB, Illinois State Board, as a quality review examiner. That made me sharper for identifying what is working in a school and what needs work. So within 30 minutes, I can probably go into mostly any school, 30 to 45 minutes, and say what is working in this school and what needs work. Almost in every school where you have deficits and things that are not up to par, there are excellent teaching going on within that same building, but it's isolated. So the other teacher that needs help does not know that if I went right across the hall, I could observe her for a couple of days and I could use the same strategies that she's using or he's using, and then get my students up to where that teacher's students are, because excellent teaching is just about happening in every building where poor teaching is going on.
Okay. Ooh, interesting. All right now. All right. That's good stuff. And you've accomplished so much, so much. Can the achievement gaps in education be closed? That's another question for you.
Yes. Yes.
And how so?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's mostly politics that's holding it back. People making decisions, like I said, in Mississippi, they're saying they're not going to even revisit the students learning for 5 years, not going to revisit the textbook adoption and what the students are doing for 5 years before they even look at it again. So things like that are holding students back. And like I say, how many students are being exposed to academic vocabulary words like the word, like I say, the word process. Process is a reading word. It's also, when you get to writing, there's a writing process. When you get to math, you're doing multiplication, there's a multiplication process. When you get to science, you got the scientific process. When you get to social study, you got the legislative process. When you get to art, you can teach art through learning processes. So teach the academic vocabulary, one word a day, and watch test scores go up nationwide, not just statewide, but nationwide, just teaching one academic word a day. And I can train teachers on how to teach that within 30 minutes. I can train teachers on how to teach academic vocabulary effectively and explicitly within 30 minutes.
Love it. Love it. You just took me full circle back to when I was young, when my brother's no longer here on earth. But when we were young, my brother used to always say he would go to the dictionary every day and purposely learn a new word. That was his thing. Every day he would go and grab the dictionary and learn a new word every day. And we would like tease him or whatever, but that was a wonderful idea. That was,
2 thumbs up to it.
Yeah, and he accomplished a lot when he left this world, but that it has great importance, that reading and learning. My goodness. Let's see. Okay, so let me ask you this, because we're talking about educational healing. We have learned throughout this segment that reading and books are very important in education and helping to achieve that. So what do you think needs to change and needs to happen to facilitate this healing that we need?
The healing that we need to allow conversation. Conversation is number one. Conversation will always be key. Communicating, getting all of the pain that's on the inside, getting it out, not internalizing it any deeper, not letting the scar get any deeper. Talking about where we are in education, bringing everybody on board. And you never can underestimate the power of transparency. Let the student know, this is what I'm teaching you and why. Let the parents and the families know, this is what your child is learning at school and this is why. So the transparency will be key moving forward. let people know, because we've gotten so many mixed messages during this pandemic, and people need to say one thing and mean one thing as you move forward. I will say one thing for our students: they need academic vocabulary from first grade through college. They need the academic vocabulary so they're able to communicate. They can articulate with others. They can compete globally. They will, even if it's done virtually, they will still be effective communicators. They need oratorical skills. I've been going into classrooms in the South suburbs, and I've been they've been meeting the author events going on in the classrooms, and the students will come up and ask me a question. They have some of my books in their classroom library, and they want to ask me a question. So I help them to pose the question to me effectively, helping our children speak, our children of color, especially helping them to articulate effectively during this 21st century.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you believe that our children and our parents and educators can thrive during this pandemic?
Definitely. I definitely believe they can thrive during the pandemic. Definitely believe they can be safe at school and they can thrive during the pandemic. Let me give you an example from this book. We have in here what we call word roots. An example is multi. Multi is important because if they learn that the word multi means many, so when they're learning these word roots, that's teaching them so many words at one time, that they're learning. If they know that aqua means water, so anything that's related that has aqua inside it has something to do with water. If they learning the word fract, F-R-A-C-T, fract means to break. So a fraction is where you breaking something apart. So, so just learning word roots will take them so much further down the road than the way they are going. So this book is called Safe at School, but yet thriving during a pandemic.
Love it. Love it. And I don't know if you guys are watching or you're paying attention, that whenever I ask her a question, she immediately remembers what book can apply to that question. I don't know if you guys noticed that. She'll reach back and grab that book. And it's good to have that. Sometimes you're asking people questions or whatever, but she has the backup. That book is that backup and what's in there, and she's helping to direct you to that particular book that would help to answer that question. Let's see here. How important is organization for a very young preschooler?
Organization, you know what? So much of life depends on the success in life depends on routines. And it's from the preschool all the way up through college, because in their college vocabulary book, I tell the freshmen in college how to establish a routine when you get to that campus. Don't get all excited because I'm away from home. Now I can show out and do my own thing. Okay, you can do your own thing, but you get organized early and you won't see those F's when you go to get that report card. So in preschool, this book, I had it set up so that every preschooler person who's working with preschool will know there's a routine in this book, and it can be used day after day after day, the same routine. We got Mr. B. Is everybody familiar with Mr. B? If not, get familiar with Mr. B. Anthony Broughton of HBCUs. He has a lot of videos on YouTube, and the alphabets. A is for alligator, and you got all his videos on YouTube. Mr. B, he does consonant blends, everything. So we need to work smarter, not harder. You got Desmond Kids, African-American group, but they are excellent. They are teaching the days of the weeks, the colors, the alphabets, everything right there on YouTube, Desmond Kids. And you got Jack Hartman. He's excellent working with our kids, preschoolers. So you got Mr. B, Desmond Kids, and Jack Hartman, and they're all in this book. For preschoolers. Okay. So anybody looking for something for preschoolers, right there. And I do have the preschool book for the Dolch words right here. Preschool Dolch sight words. So whatever you need for preschool through 12th grade, I pretty much got it. And I just published one. I don't have a copy yet. It says, Dear Pandemic, I Will Survive. An entire semester where you write to the pandemic every day for social emotional support at school. Dear Pandemic, I Will Survive. So I've ordered my copy. I don't have it yet from Amazon.
Oh, okay. Oh, you've written it already, but you
just it's already published. It's already published.
I love this. I love this. With a passion, I really do. She's ignited me, guys. She really has, and hopefully she's ignited each of you. I want to ask you one last question. I'm sorry, what was that?
I hope to come back again and answer some more questions.
Oh yes, you definitely will have to. Buddy Gill has a comment here. He says Dr. Wiley is one of the country's best kept secrets. I would agree, buddy. I would agree. I see you, Brenda. Thank you for joining us on today. And I am going to scroll up before I ask my last question of Dr. Wiley to see if I've missed anyone else. Dr. Wiley, you actually have what is it called? The National Distinguished Authors. Many of you who are her friends on Facebook, you've probably seen this, but I want her to talk about this a little bit before. I know we're about to end this particular segment on today, but I wanted you to talk to us about who are the National Distinguished Authors, and can anyone join, or how can they join?
Excellent question. The National Distinguished Authors, we have, this is great. Dr. Natasha Evans. This book right here, Inspire Me. This is about career building, everything I can be from A to Z. And it's not talking about the careers back in the day where you could be a fireman, a police officer, and a teacher. It's talking about these 21st century careers in the side of this book. Dr. Natasha Evans of Kent State University, a professor there. And she also has this book out, Warriors, about women who overcame struggles and triumph over their journey. And that's written in this book, Warriors, a book that's sought after across the country now, Life During the Coronavirus Pandemic by Audrey M. Burgess. Marriage Rebirth, Investing in Your Marriage. The Prodigal Daughter. We talk about the prodigal son, but here's the Prodigal Daughter by Millie Anderson of Memphis. Leadership. This guy conducts workshops all over the country. Orlando Caesar, he's the CEO of Watchwell Communication Leadership. Dr. Don Parker conducts workshops for schools everywhere, building bridges, works with the state a lot, state ISB, Illinois State Board of Education. These are my authors. And wow, this one. My Angry Child, What Must I Do? We Can Help. Dr. Frankie Swope, who is also CEO of, she's CEO of Chicago Academic Training Center and Youth Services. Okay, and a guide to promote effective parenting. She conducts workshops at schools and everything. It's Dr. Frankie Swope. So these authors, distinguished authors for sure. And we are in the organization stage, and as soon as we open it up, which will be real soon, it'll be on social media, and we look forward to having other authors join us, because what we do is promote reading and promote support of others. We promote support of others. So we'll be lifting up authors. So if you see me on social media, you see where I'm putting some of those books up or something. We're lifting each other up. So once you join this organization, we're going to lift you up, and the books that you write and your purpose. And our purpose is to help make things better for people of the world.
Love it. Love it. That is tremendous. So thank you. Now, you guys, as she was pulling out the books, if you weren't able to see them very well, just make sure that you reach out to Dr. Wiley the way that she has given us via her email, phone number.
On Next Level Teaching, Facebook, Next Level Teaching.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, all right, that's good. That's good. There is, it's called Next Level Teaching?
Yes.
Okay.
DG Wiley.
Okay. VG Wiley. All right.
Correct.
Wonderful.
VG Wiley, next level.
All right, guys. So if you're interested, please make sure that you reach out to her. There were some of you on here that mentioned that you know of educators and that you can refer them. Please do that.
Please.
She's a wealth of information, and we have had a tremendous time today talking about educational healing, which I feel is important. Dr. Wiley definitely feels it's important, and I know many of you feel it's important as well. This is
don't forget, I got to get 5 ways to say to your yes. Let me know when.
Yes. Oh no, we're not done yet. I'm just
okay.
No, but this is something that I wanted to occur and to happen on the first segment of the year to make sure that we get across that 2022 is our year of healing. And, you know, I always say your faith is only as high as you can speak it. So you have to speak it. You have to believe it yourself. And again, the direction we went in today was talking about our educational system. And there's so much that goes into that. We've touched on a lot on today. Dr. Wiley has answered questions. We've read comments to this effect. And I am going to make sure to go back and look to see if there's anything else that I did not read that you guys put in the comment section on today, whether it's a question or not, and make sure that Dr. Wiley at some point, maybe once we are off the air, maybe she can kind of go back and look and see if there's anything she needs to address as well. And she can definitely do that for us. So Dr. Wiley, you have some points that you want to get across before we end on today?
Yes, this has been a wonderful session. And I just want to leave with the families and teachers, educators, 5 ways to your yes. Number 1, you can write these down because you will be happy that you did. Number 1, speak success over yourself and your family. That's number 1. Number 2, write down 2 steps forward. It may be you're going to call someone that you hadn't called in your family, whatever. 2 steps. Something new. Number 3, follow the 2 steps. Check them off as you complete those 2 items. Number 4, write down 1 old habit that you want to get rid of. 1 old habit. And then cross it out. Write it down physically, cross it out physically and mentally. And number 5, breathe in and out 3 times to celebrate your success for that day. I'm done.
Love it. I love it. All right, guys. She gave us some great tips. And even in the beginning, she had us reciting some affirmations. And all of that is important. It's all key. It's all key and important.
Day 30.
All right. Motivational poetry, healing the soul.
Day 30.
Day 30. All right. All right. This has been great, guys. Thank you all for joining me here on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on my Instagram page, for coming in and making this first segment of 2022 a wonderful, wonderful segment. Your input, your questions, and your comments were very helpful. So again, I appreciate all of you and want you guys to make sure that you join us. So take a listen to this outgoing vid. And I'll be back to say my goodbyes. On the next session of Get Caught in a Net Incorporated, we will be joined by Dr. Shirley Hill of Mo Faith Nutritional Services for our monthly health and wellness segment. Our topic title, Navigating Through the Unknown Without Fear. Yes, you can be in health. Remember to join us next Wednesday, January 19th, 12 noon Central Standard Time.
Get caught in a net with a net for your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with a net. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to explain.
All right, guys, you know what I tell you at the end of every broadcast, make sure you guys stay safe. Wash your hands. We always say wash your hands. If you have to sing happy birthday twice, 20 seconds, okay, guys? Make sure you're washing them real good. You are wearing your mask, whether you are vaxxed or not. Please wear your mask. Do your physical distancing. Do what you need to do. Abide by the CDC guidelines and what they are giving us to do, because we want to be rid of this. We are praying that the Lord would rid us of this this virus that is going through in the air. We know that this Omicron variant, it has definitely, it has increased. So you guys, I want you all to be safe. Please make sure you do that. All right. And Dr. Wiley, thank you again for joining us on today. We appreciate you. And she's telling you to eat your fruit and your veggies. Okay, guys. Yes. We want you healthy. We want you safe. All right. We'll see you next week with, as you already heard, the edition of Health and Wellness. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon. Peace.